What is going on, team? Today I wanted to talk to you guys about the BRRRR model. That's the BRRRR model, right? And how you guys can utilize it to create a steady cash flow and never keep your capital locked up and really kickstart your property journey. Stay tuned. So the BRRRR model, it stands for buy, refurb, rent, refinance and repeat, as you can guess. A lot of people have various different ways of saying it. So let's start. The B, build, is about acquiring the proper property, or the right property, as to say, purchasing the worst property on the street, you know, so you can add a lot of value to it. You can half of it, most of it, all your DD should be done actually before purchasing, but you can also make a lot of money picking the right property. If you're buying it below market value, you're locking in capital growth already before you've even got to refurbing and refinancing, you know, whether you're using your own cash money or investors cash or a mortgage. It's very important to have all this DD done and, you know, get your decision in principle if you're using a mortgage. And as a cash buyer or using investors cash, you have sometimes the advantage because you're able to get in where, you know, distressed buyers are looking to sell and you can quickly make a sale, a purchase at a below market rate. Next, you're stepping into the refurb. This is where we're at my stages at my property as well. I'm doing a complete strip out and, you know, redoing the bathroom, the kitchen, everything to add as much value as I can. However, this is quite capital intense, right? So it might not fit your model or depending on your situation, okay? But there's other ways to, you know, add value to the property. You could just go with the basic modernization, you know, maybe changing the granite, the worktops to granite, or, you know, just doing a little paint job, making it look nicer, getting rid of like old windows, you know, just little things. You can also go a bit further and add an extension, a kitchen extension if it's small, or even add a couple rooms into the loft and doing a loft extension. That can add 2 rooms to the property, obviously increasing the value of the property dependent on the area. Look, DD is important. And finally, another one, you could just reconfigure some stuff, you know, change a 2-bed into a 3-bed by putting a wall somewhere. It depends on the property, right, and how it's currently set up. These are all little strategies that you can add value to a property quite easily. Or you can just, like I'm doing, completely strip it out and just redo it, and maybe add extension. We are not adding an extension because there just isn't a demand for 4 beds in the area, and it's a 3-bed, so we're just leaving it as a 3-bed. So little things like this, you need to look into demand, speak to agents, look at sold like-for-like comparables. You know, is a 4-bed worth doing because you're going to spend 20-30k on an extension, and if there's only 20k difference between a 3-bed and a 4-bed, there's no point. Next, you want to rent it out, and some people say, you know, refinance and then rent. No, you definitely want to rent it out first. The refinancing companies, I mean the mortgage lenders, want to make sure you have a you know, steady income. You got an ASD in place with a family or a tenant that obviously is paying you, and you know it's a real investment, and they know you're not going to default. So it's going to open up the market for you when you have rental coming in. You know, maybe if you're able to get higher rental, that's going to let you pull out more money because the property is now worth more. You know, there's little things you need to look into. So definitely rent before you refinance. And finally, you're getting into the refinance date, and this is where the magic happens, guys. You're getting a 75% average loan to value, right? Leaving 25% in the property as a deposit, buy to let, standard. And you want to use comparables to know how much that property is going to be worth. Obviously, the mortgage mortgage company is going to send out a surveyor to really, you know, find out what the property is worth. So you know, you want to do this DD beforehand so you know how much your property is worth. So let's throw some numbers in the air now, and I'm going to do this for the ease. This is not numbers I'm doing currently, but it's just for the ease of, you know, numbers in my head right now. So you're spending 70k on the property, right, to purchase. Great property. 30,000 you're spending on refurbing it, you know, putting a new kitchen in there. It was old, dated, Victorian. So now you've spent 100k altogether, but because you bought that house so cheap, now it's worth 150k, because all the other houses on the street, looking at sold like comparables, sold for 150k. So now you get your surveyor in and it's 150k, and the mortgage company, the lender, gives you 112.5k back from the 75%, and you're leaving 37.5k as a 25% deposit for the property. Now you spent 100k and you got 112.5 back. You've made 12k profit, and not only that, you've got a free house that's going to pay you rent every month, right? So for example, say the mortgage company, and it's an interest only, they want 200 a month interest payment, then you're getting 600 from the rental from the tenants. That's 400 you're making a month as a free house. Look, admittedly, that's not going to be easy to, you know, find a property that cheap where you're actually going to pull out more than what you spent. You might leave 5-10k in the property, but that's not too bad. Say you're making 5k rental a year, 10k was left in the property. Within 2 years, you're pulling out all the capital employed. It's amazing, you know, and you can keep doing this. And if you'd saved on the purchase and the market value was 100k, for example, and you bought it for 85, different example, you've secured 15k on purchase because the market value of the house is 100k. And then after that, adding the refurb stuff, there's multiple ways where you can add money and add value in this, or get a deal, you know. That's why I said most of the DD should be done prior to purchase, so you know what your exits are, and I think that's really important, you know, having done your comparables, so you know where your exits are and you're able to do that. Finally, look, that's the refurb done, refinance done. You want to repeat because you pulled out all your money, guys. You pulled out 100k of the 100k you spent. Now just do another property and just keep adding. You know, do 2 a year, adding. You know, you can do 2 a year quite easily if you've got the same amount of capital, because within 6 months you refinance out and then do it again, and 5 years you'll have 10 properties bringing you in 400 each, 4k a month. You know, solid. I do want to touch on, and I've probably made it sound a lot easier than it is, there are some mistakes. You know, you live, you learn, you get burned. That's part of the game, okay? But I want to help you guys before you get burned. A lot of people will throw shade on this strategy because they've been burnt, but you need to do your DD, and I will keep going on about this, because if you're buying a property in a lower value area and you're expecting to sell it for 150, but all the other houses, say you bought a house, let's throw some numbers in it, you bought it for 100 and you think you're going to spend 10k on it and sell it for 150, but the maximum property value in that area for the same sort of bedroom house is 110, like where you're gonna get 150 from. So you need to make sure you know your exits, and that, I'll say that's my first point. Secondly, make sure you don't underestimate your refurb costs. A lot of people do it, you know, you think it's not going to cost you that much. Make sure you have a contingency in that, because you know what it is with these properties, you might, especially like older Victorian properties, you might come across asbestos. I had that issue, you know, so you want to put some contingency in there and not keep the numbers so tight, so if something goes wrong then it's not profitable. You need to spend longer on finding a deal. Don't just jump. You know, everyone wants to get their hands dirty and, you know, want to get the experience, but you don't want to get burnt and put you off it completely, you know. So that's number 2. 3, don't underestimate the time it takes. I think that's very important. People think you can do this in 2-3 months, get out next project. No, you know, 6 months is what I said with the lenders. They want you to hold on to the house for 6 months before refinancing. Not only that, you can't think 2-3 months. Something might go wrong, you know. In developments, and you hear it all the time, you run over budget, you run over time. You just got to give yourself a contingency in that as well. So 6 months. Don't stretch yourself too thin. A lot of people want to do a lot in small time, but you know, this is property, long game. Think about it. Number 5 is experience and rental figures, right? Experience. I wanted to throw that in there because lenders sometimes like experienced refurbers. You know, refurbers. And if you don't own a house, say for example, you're renting and you're trying to do a flip and a BRRRR property and build a portfolio, they're gonna give you less options and a higher interest rate. So make sure you have a conversation with a broker so you know what kind of numbers you'd be expecting. And rental figures, don't overestimate, don't make it up. Talk to letting agents, have a look on Zoopla, and make sure you add contingency in there. You're better off being conservative, and if it goes well, then you make more money rather than, you know, keeping the numbers tight, and if something goes wrong, it throws the whole deal off. Okay, that was a quick video for you guys, and I hope you enjoyed it. Look, it's a really good strategy to kickstart you from beginner to experience. It could be the first project you do, and then it could take you on to, you know, doing bigger developments. It's really about learning through this process, and you will live if you get burnt a little on this, but make sure you have enough leeway so if anything does go wrong, you're covered.